Hi everyone. I promised a viewer that I would do this full review on the channel, and it's been a little while and I still haven't gotten to it yet. So I wanted to make sure that I get this review done today so that she doesn't have to wait any longer for the video. And thank you for your patience, my dear. I'm going to be reviewing in full the Wolfe Tarot, which is created by Serpent Fire, and I just want to make sure I get her name right in full. It's Devaney Amber Wolfe. This deck does contain nudity, and so I am going to show the deck in a few moments. And if you don't want to see nudity, or if you have little kids around and you don't want them to see adult nudity, I just want to warn you that I am about to, share some of that through the deck. So, let's talk about number one. First of all, the colors and the feel of this deck are everything that I love and adore. And I think you can tell just by looking at me that this deck and the color tones she chose and the feel of the deck itself really pair together well. There's definitely an Egyptian feel to this deck. And yet I would say it's similar to Thoth in that you get the feel of the Egyptian kind of tone for the creation of the deck, but it's not overtly Egyptian. So if you're someone who doesn't work with the Egyptian pantheon, you don't have to feel like this deck isn't going to be a friend for you. I think you'll still get a lot out of it, whether you work with the Egyptian pantheon or you happen to practice some form of Egyptian magic or not. So now, I don't believe that this deck is actually available for purchase at this time, but I will double check, and if it is, I will post a link below. If it is not, I'm sorry, because it is a beautiful deck, and I will tell you right now that I do think it's worth a purchase if you've been considering it. And if this is a deck that you have purchased, I would really encourage you to take a look at really connecting with the deck and spending some time with the deck itself. So it comes in a nice tuck box like this. Let's see, what do I have around for comparison? I have the Uncommon Tarot box here, so just to show you for comparison's sake, which I'm holding really awkwardly. This is the tuck box size. So you open the tuck box up, and this is the inside. I mean, this is why I love self-produced decks and indie decks, because the attention to detail is just such a joy. On the inside of the box it says, "Where the road ends, the journey begins. Ancient pathways are known by the future self. Your odyssey awaits amidst dunes of self-love. Sands of time do not bury our universal truth. Come now and find, beautiful seeker. The eternal ones are here to guide you and unfold your infinite awakening." So that's on the inside of the tuck box. The guidebook looks like this. And let's see, it is 184 pages long, and I definitely think it's worth a read. She talks about why she chose the imagery she did in each of the card meanings, and I think it helps you to get an understanding of her focus in creating this deck and her intention with the meanings behind the cards. So I do think reading the book is absolutely worth it. And I do think that it's very much about like vision quest. There's this feeling of the Egyptian pantheon, kind of interwoven throughout it all. It's definitely focused on the sacred feminine, and yet I would say it does have a feel of Thoth or Thoth, depending on how you like to say that, or Thoth. There's so many different ways to say the Thoth Tarot. I do think it has a very similar feel to that for me, in that I feel like I never fully understand the deck, and that creates a joy from the sense of working with the deck, because it's something that you can continue to build on and really enjoy connecting with. It's not like just a typical Rider-Waite-Smith knockoff that you're going to just, boom, boom, kind of like, move through it sometimes without really sitting with the imagery and the feel of the deck and the layers of meaning in the cards. So this is, again, the guidebook, and I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. She's a little section on how to use the booklet, how to connect with the cards, and then she talks about her work being both retro, futuristic, and erotic. bridging aeons and ancient cultures with the timeless grace of the human form. It also focuses in on the spiritual and existential through themes of Kundalini and the cosmos, our eternal selves. I have pared down its aesthetic, this is her speaking here, to its most important elements. No borders, no numbers, only the art and symbolism. And she has included 2 additional cards in this deck. Mercury for the importance of communication and karmic lessons with Saturn. So she felt that these were 2 additional cards called the Secret Arcana in order to highlight the importance of, again, communication and karmic lessons. And then she says if you draw them, they place extra emphasis on those themes, which I believe are paramount on the spiritual journey. And she says that this is her second and final tarot deck. Now, I do have her first tarot deck on order, but I've been on the pre-order list for about a year, over a year now, so I don't know if that's happening or not. We will see, and I will post a full review of that, obviously, if I do end up with a deck. Rose gold on the edging, which I'm secretly in love with. And then this is the backing. That pop of aqua is just like the only word I can think of is delightful. It's just delightful to my eyes. It's such, the backing, this is one of my favorite backings of all time. I know I've said that a few times over the years with certain decks, but this one definitely tops the list. Sip of tea, guys. Okay, so let's talk about the feel of the deck. Well, I show you some imagery. Again, I'm just warning you that there is nudity in almost every single image, so just so that you're prepared. The deck feels like Thoth to me, but it's got this really great like 70s Bowie vibe in the color scheme and the feel. And you do get this sense of kind of like a galaxy feel to the image, to some of the imagery as well, but like in that 70s way, and it really lends itself well to the imagery. You definitely feel like you're in this kind of desert, arid type of energy. You know, it's not like overrun with water feel, which typically is a deck I would, you know, be drawn to, but I love the juxtaposition with this deck of the feel compared to a lot of my other decks. And she works with repeating imagery to kind of reiterate the theme in her meanings, and you can see that as you read the guidebook as well. This is one of my favorite images of the devil. I love this image. See, there's that feel with the moon. You just get this sense of I don't know, otherworldly, but it's like intergalactic as well. I don't know, that's just kind of how it feels for me. It's hard to put into words how I feel about this deck or the experience I have with her, but I love her. But she doesn't read for clients a whole lot. In fact, if you've purchased a reading and I've read with her for you, it's definitely an anomaly, because she's not a chatty Cathy. Like, she doesn't want to come out and play with everybody. When she does, it's very, very, very specific. I love this image. It's very, very specific. I think with this image of the lovers, you really get that feeling of Gemini. I think she did a beautiful job with that in a different way, as opposed to just like, yeah, here's a guy and a girl. They represent the lovers, so I really enjoy that. This Queen of Swords is really beautiful. I'm not going to show you every image in the deck because, you know, I like to leave some of that up to your experience. Love this Eight of Pentacles here. And here is Lust. Love that imagery so much. Because, as I said, I do like to leave some things up to for you to experience yourself. I love that Death card. Names of the cards have been changed in many cases, as you can see, but I think it does flow with her feel of the deck, and so in this case is understandable for me, and I give her a pass on my usual I can't stand it when people do that. This is like total Stevie Nicks feel there with that High Priestess. Cardstock it's not matte, it's kind of typical cardstock, but it's a nice quality. And I have had no like scuffing or any kind of issues with them not, with the cards not like, you know how some of the decks that are super slippery, like Scarabeo decks, will slide all over the place, even on your altar? This deck doesn't do that for me, even though it's not matte. I love this Ace of Pentacles. Isn't that awesome? And there's the Queen of Pentacles. And I think I will stop. Let me just double check myself. I will show you the Saturn card. There's the Saturn card. Here's the Hermit. I love that imagery as well. And then here is the Mercury card. Just in case this deck isn't available for purchase at this time, at least you get a feel for that. And you want to talk about David Bowie, right? Like, the Divine Masculine is totally rocking that out. So that is the imagery that you will find in the deck itself. The card size is, what do I have here? I have the Wonderland Oracle here. So you can see the cardstock size. It's definitely bigger than traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but not quite as big as a Blue Angel deck typically is. And if you have smaller hands, it definitely is going to be a handful for you to shuffle. I won't lie to you about that. It's a bigger deck. I have larger hands, and so this is no problem for me, but I do understand for people with smaller hands, this could be cumbersome to work with, just so that you know that. My final feelings about the deck. This is a keeper in my collection. I love this deck. I love working with her. She's very, in her tonality, she's very almost acerbic. Like, she's not tongue-in-cheek. She's very clear and to the point, but she's also a little bit sarcastic, which sometimes we all need, and I really love that about her. I tend to use her for times when I need to like cut through my own bullshit and just be really honest with myself. She's a deck that's really powerful for doing that with, for having that experience with. Like I said, she isn't super social. Unlike the Uncommon Tarot, which I reviewed recently, who is a super social deck. She loves to show up for readings with clients. The She-Wolf Tarot only shows up at specific times, and I would say she's very focused on empowerment. So she'll tend to show up for readings where we are focusing a theme on finding one's voice or stepping into empowerment on one's path, and then she is always happy to come along for the ride. And she really has a lot to say about that. I would offer to you, and I would say personally for myself, as well as clearing away my own BS. She's very good at that, finding your voice in the situation type of work for oneself. So she is a very worthy addition to any collection. I love and adore her. I have no intention of not working with her or of gifting her. She's a solid. She's like a solid 9 out of 10 for me in my collection, and I can depend on her, and I love working with her, especially personally. If you have an opportunity to get your hands on the deck, I would definitely recommend it if you've been on the fence about it. And I'm actually about to make a video comparing and contrasting the Moonchild to the She-Wolf, because I also had a viewer ask me to do a video on that. So I will compare and contrast those two if you've been wondering about which deck is... I don't know which deck wins that smackdown. I will be talking about that in just a few minutes. But I do think the She-Wolf Tarot is a wonderful addition to any collection. She has a very unique voice. She's going to give her own input into whatever way you choose to use her in your practice. And she's not just like a Rider-Waite-Smith knockoff that you're going to kind of, in a couple years, wonder why you spent that money purchasing it. She's not that at all. She has a very specific personality and voice, and she's also just beautiful to look at and work with. It's one of those decks that is an indulgence because it is pricier. I don't know, I think I paid $60 or $70 for her, but she is worth the money, much like True Black. It's a purchase that I don't regret at all, and I would rather make 1 or 2 purchases like that every 6 to 8 months and get the full out of them than purchase a bunch of little, a bunch of cheaper decks on Amazon that I'm not going to use. So that is, those are my thoughts on the She-Wolf Tarot by Serpent Fire, and I hope you enjoyed it. As always, much love and many blessings, guys. Many blessings, guys. Excuse me. Let me try that again. Much love, many blessings. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.